Welcome to another Unwinding with Fiber and Fabric. It's been a couple weeks since I posted a video, and for those of you who are interested in only seeing the haul of goodies that I got at the local Fiber Festival, I will include a marker as to where that is located in the video in the description below for you to skip ahead. But for those of you that follow my videos and are interested in hearing why I have been absent for a couple weeks, let me tell you, I'll probably ramble just a bit, but it has been crazy here. My daughter has finally managed to return to the Peace Corps. She's in a different country. She is speaking a different language, and the climate is entirely different from what she had when she was in Mongolia. But she is having a wonderful time. It has been well worth the 4 months of crazy running around, nail biting, box checking, and, sitting on the edges of our seats waiting to hear if she was going to be able to return. It came down to the wire. We only knew for certain that she was going to be on the airplane the night before. So it's been crazy, but it is so worth it. She is thrilled to be back in the service, and she is thrilled to be making the new connections that she's making. Needless to say that because of the crazy uncertainty of it all and everything that's been going on with that process, my house is a disaster. She only takes with her what fits in in 2 suitcases. So 2 suitcases, 2 carry-ons, and everything else is left here. And so I've been scrambling around trying to clean up the disaster zone, and also trying to decide how to move forward now that we are hopefully back to more regular life than what we've had these last 2 years. In the 2 years that my daughter has been living with us, she had been living with us a little bit before, but it was always assumed she was going to be gone. So while we have her stuff here and while we had space for her, it was not really intended to be a long-term solution. And it occurred to us that if she had never been evacuated, she'd be coming back from her service in the Peace Corps around this time, not having just gone again. So one of the things that settled in my mind as I have spent the last couple weeks just kind of resting and recovering from the chaos is that no matter how much we plan, no matter how much we hope and organize and think about a future, things can be thrown our way. And one of the things that I've decided in going forward, because again, I wasn't even making these videos, 2 years ago when she came home the last time. One of the things that I've come to understand is that the way I hoped to be living in this home and the way it looks like I'm going to be living in this home is 2 different things. It's not always matching up. And so I've been spending a little time just slowly regrouping, slowly re-embracing a more solo daily existence. My husband, although he is technically semi-retired, he does have a job that keeps him away during either the early mornings or the late in the evenings. So he's still gone a good portion of the week from the home. So it's just me and the cats. And because of his schedule, it means that we have to really plan out when we want to do things like a fiber festival, because he typically works on the Saturday, on the weekend portion that we would normally go to the fiber festivals. So we've had to rethink, we've had to reevaluate, and decide how we're going to go forward. We'd hoped to semi-retire, in short, to have time dedicated to be able to do more fun things, and less craziness with the kids and less craziness with work. When we moved here, that was the intent. And then that didn't work out exactly how we had planned. So I have been giving myself permission to take this transition slowly. It was really interesting. The first time I went out and went grocery shopping all by myself for the first time in 2 years. And it corresponded with the relaxation on the mask mandates. And so I've been very slowly allowing myself to process, because as people who also may have health issues or anxiety issues will understand, you can't just leap back in. You have to gradually regain the stability that you lost when everything changed. And so I've been doing that. And one of the things that I did was I challenged myself to go to a small local fiber festival. It's one that I had attended the first year we moved here, so I knew about it. And it's not that long of a drive for me. It was something that I knew I could do and safely do it by myself, test my boundaries. See, it's been a long time since I've made a drive. When we lived in Colorado, I couldn't go grocery shopping without spending an hour, in the car just getting to the store. And now I have a grocery store that when I go to it, I don't even get to hear a whole song play on the radio. So it is a transition. It's a change. It's something to get adjusted to. And I can proudly report that in the rain, I did drive to the local fiber festival, which was in Bedford, Virginia. I arrived, I checked out the different vendors. I purchased way too much. I texted my children and said that they are going to give some of these items to me and to my husband for Mother's Day and Father's Day. And my children, especially my son, responded back immediately with that he loved the idea and could I, purchase something for him as well. So it's lovely. It doesn't matter if my kids are all around the world in different places. They're so supportive. They're always willing to be there for me. And between them and my husband, I managed to do this solo trip. And I have been excited to share with you the wonderful things that I purchased. So, without any more rambling, let's get on to the wonderful purchases that I made. The first one I want to show, and I'm wearing it, is this necklace and the earrings. And I will show a photo of these up close. Additionally, there is another necklace that I purchased that I couldn't resist. My alma mater, its flower is the sunflower, and right now with the situation going on in Ukraine, the sunflower is even more important as a symbol. It's a wonderful reminder that we need to look to the light, even in our darkest days. So I had to purchase, in addition to the necklace that I'm wearing, I had to purchase the sunflower necklace. And I wanted to highlight, now I'll put in the description below the information for all the different vendors that I'm sharing if I have that information available. I want to share that, but I really want to talk about, I love this vendor. I have a number of things that I have purchased from her. When we went to the Fiber Festival the first year we were here, we purchased some shawl pins for our kids. Her work is beautiful, and I so encourage you to check out her Instagram site, because it's just lovely. It's so inspiring to me. I adore seeing artisans that really bring happiness into the work that they make. And there's so much joy and happiness in her pieces, and I'm so grateful to know that she is so close by, because my son is like, oh my goodness, we have to buy more of her stuff later. So the next thing I wanted to share of hers, in addition to the necklaces, is this. And this, in the end, this is what my son, and what actually said, my children, but my son being the one that was available at the moment, this is what was purchased for my husband for Father's Day. Now, I know Father's Day hasn't come yet, but we went ahead and celebrated these, had these out for both of us with Mother's Day. It is an incense burner. A little area in the back, little mushroom and little snail here in the front, and I saw this, and oh, it just touched my heart. It gave me so much joy. But I had already purchased 2 fleece and some other fiber, and so I really was feeling the pinch of the pocketbook. So that is why I texted my son and I said, oh my goodness, would you purchase this for us for Father's Day for your dad? And he did. So he ended up taking care of the necklaces, and these items. And he and my daughter, they have such a wonderful relationship. And when it comes to these kind of things, it goes back and forth, whichever one's available. And so it's always a gift from both of my children. When one child gives me a gift, it is always a gift from both of my children, because the two of them are so close, and they support each other so much. And so that's the real gift for Mother's Day and Father's Day for us. But the whimsy of this just made me so happy. And needless to say, it had to come home. So, I mean, it's just wonderful. So I was showing my son, I was sending him a text telling him to check out the Instagram of this artisan. And he saw a photo on her Instagram of something else that he really insisted that I also have purchased. And it's this guy. and oh my goodness, the expression on this little mushroom's face is actually very similar to an expression that we've captured in film of my son when he was younger. A little mischievous, a little bit, ooh, I've been caught. But love this. Such joy. And so I really wanted to share, no paid promotion. This is just I get so much joy out of this. I thought my viewers would also get joy out of these wonderful, wonderful little creations. So I did also buy some fiber. The first fiber I purchased was this amazing yarn, and I will show again pictures as I'm speaking. It is a silk and cotton blend that is gradient, and it is it's 75% cotton, 25% silk. Its color is citron, and I was just so impressed. The woman is not a spinner. What she has done is she has taken commercial fibers, and she's combined them into this yarn that she then you can knit with. And the finished knitted item is just gorgeous. And I thought to myself, this is really so innovative. I'm stumbling over my words. So there's so much innovation to this, because this is somebody who wants to create something, but doesn't necessarily want to invest in the start to finish of the project. So she's taken something that is commercial, she's combined it with a very slight twist to hold the strands together, and then you knit with it. And it is luscious. It is so gorgeous. And to me, it's another example of how, and I know the video camera is not catching the color nearly as much. And so that's why I will superimpose the other photos as well. But it is such an example of the creativity in the fiber arts today. Such stepping outside the box, such making it work, and finding a way that fits a person's specific personality and their skills and their interests. And her colors just screamed out at me, oh my goodness, come see. I do not know what I will be knitting this into. I am not sure, but I do know, I can't get over how much shine, how beautiful this product is. And again, the innovation. I just love that. I love that we live in a world today in which people are stepping outside of the box and creating, whether it be a final product or the materials to make a final product, creating such inspired and joyful materials for us to use. So I wanted to share that. I couldn't help, because color always appeals to me. I couldn't help. I just had to. Even though I tend to, at this point, only want to work with my own hand spun. Mainly because somebody's got to knit with it. Somebody's got to crochet with it. I couldn't help splurging because, I love indie dyers. And when they create colors that just scream. And the video camera is making this a little bit blue, which is fine in this case because it is such a plum red purple. But I will have, of course, the big picture, which I'll put here, that will show you how just beautiful. It made me think of dark raspberry. It made me think of when you're eating lots of raspberries and you get the raspberry juice all over you and you're staining your clothing, and the color is just so vibrant and varied and luscious. And I just had to purchase this. I loved the dye work. I loved I loved talking with the indie dyers. I loved seeing the projects they were working on. I loved seeing how the yarn worked up into the shawls that she wore and some of the other vendors wore with her fiber. And it just made my day to see so many people. I say this, so many younger than me people. I think my mind still sees me as younger than my body actually is, but there's all of this energy and excitement in the younger generations today when it comes to fibers and textiles and art in general. And it's beautiful to see in a world where we sometimes only see the conflict and the clouds and the gloom. Fiber festivals are a place that just open up your mind and your spirit to color and variation and stepping outside of the box and all sorts of just wonderful joy and exploration and innovation. So I had to purchase some yarn. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with it yet, but I'm sure that when I finally do something with it, I will share it here. I could make socks. I could make another hat for me. I haven't quite decided. I may, because this is so soft, who knows, maybe make myself full gauntlets. That might actually be a really good use of these, is to make myself the gauntlets that I've now made my daughter and my son. Maybe I need some for me. I will have to decide. So that is all of my really easy to share purchases. But of course it was a fiber festival, and the whole point of me going was to buy fiber to spin. And I will admit, that was the whole reason I went. I want to purchase a fleece so that I can share on a video the scouring process of said fleece. And I was not disappointed. I did do a little research ahead of time to make sure there were going to be at least 1 or 2 vendors who did have some raw fleece, and there were. I was very pleased. Despite the rain, despite, you know, the size of the festival, there was a vendor selling some fleece. I will, of course, show a photo of these fleeces. I may have already done so. I'm not going to actually show them in front of the camera right now because I'm going to save the digging through it and opening it up for a future video. But I do have the cards. And I'm going to, hold on, just for the sake of not putting too much information out there, I'm going to fold down so that hopefully the prices don't necessarily show up. But these are the 2 fleeces that I have. I was hoping to get a Cormo, 100% Cormo, but I had sticker shock. It's been a few years since I've gone to a fiber market now and purchased fleece. And so I had some sticker shock. And I have so much wool to spin. I have so much fiber to spin. What I was simply looking for is something that I could show scouring. So I really kind of wanted to not break the bank. And so I went, and there was a lovely Cormo fleece that would have been great to spin. But its color was actually very similar to a whole lot of the CVM that I have. And I just couldn't justify spending the money for another colored fleece that didn't give me a whole lot of new challenge. So I looked around at all the fleeces. Now, I'm so glad. One of the important things is when you're looking at fleece, don't get sticker shock and stop looking. Look around, because every vendor will hopefully, or every fiber festival will hopefully have a variety. And if you get sticker shock right from the beginning, you may miss an opportunity. Because they may have, I know that in fiber markets that I've been to before, sometimes they'll split the fleece in half so that you can buy a smaller quantity. Sometimes they'll have it broken down to where you can buy smaller amounts. So keep looking around, even if you do get a little sticker shock right at the beginning. I discovered this first, and it was in my price range for what I wanted to purchase for a raw fleece. And I was so happy with it because I've spun Shetland once before, and it bothered me in that spin because I knew that Shetland can be an extraordinarily wonderful fiber to spin, but the Shetland I spun was not in that category. It had a lot of things wrong with it, some that were preventable, and some it was just the animal. When I saw this Shetland, I could not get over how beautiful, how fine. And I was like, this Shetland represents what I've read Shetland can be, and why some people absolutely love spinning Shetland wool. This is silky, smooth, soft, luscious, just everything you want to in a good fleece. Everything is in this this fleece. It was really quite a wonderful find, but it's also a smaller quantity than weight-wise than I would have been spending. And so I didn't pay less per ounce necessarily, but I did pay less overall because it was a smaller fleece, and that suited my purposes quite well. So I purchased this fleece with the intent to be able to show in a later video how to scour the fleece. But knowing that I should always touch all the fleece and look at each one because I don't want to miss something, I ended up finding this one. And oh my goodness. So I've not spun Cormo, and my experience with BFL has left me unhappy. And then I stumble in the vent on this. I got so excited. I didn't care if I blew my budget. Look at the staple length. It has the silkiness and luster that I would expect with a long wool. But it's so soft. It's so, next to skin. It's one of the best fibers I have shoved my hand into the fleece of. I'm so excited. And the staple length, that is just going to be, you can see I'm really excited about this fleece. That is just completely different. And it's colored. And not a color that I have a ton of, but much more of the dark that I don't have a ton of anymore. So it met so many, checked so many boxes on my criteria list. There was no way that wasn't coming home with me. So that's what I love about fiber festivals. And the bigger the fiber festival, the more vendors you get to see, and the more fleece you can put your hands into and touch and see and love and come home with and fill the back of your car with. And so I was so excited about that. And that was actually the first thing I purchased. I came in, walked right over to the vendor that I saw that had fleece, purchased the fleece, took it back to my car, and thought, all right, I will now go and look at the other vendors and see. Probably not going to buy anything. Earrings and everything later. I did buy some other stuff. But one of the last vendors I saw, again, it's always nice to check out the stalls. Even if it doesn't look like something you might be interested in, you can find some wonderful gems. And in the final stall that I visited, knowing that I didn't need any more fiber for the day, I stumbled upon a curiosity. And I stumbled upon what they are calling, and I was going to look it up before I talked about this, but I'm just going to flat out tell you. Only information I know about this is what the vendor told me about. Lovely elderly lady who was, she had her own stuff, and she also helped a friend of hers with this fiber. But it looks a lot like alpaca. It feels a lot like alpaca, only it would feel a lot like some of the best quality alpaca, but it's not alpaca. It's llama. And as it's labeled, it's miniature llama. And it has the black. I bought this one first because I loved just the color variation, but her grandson was helping, and so I bought that from him. And then she came over and we had a wonderful little chat, and she was telling me about this because I'd never heard of miniature llama before. And she was talking to me about it, and she wanted me to see just how fine this is, because this was really, of the different animals, this was the most fine of the fiber. So she showed me this, and one of the things in spinning, you find sheep produce a dark brown. They don't do a true black. Alpaca is a true black, and it appears this llama is pretty close to a true black. It might have some sun bleached areas in it, just a little. In different light, I can see a tiny bit of a brown, but for the most part, it is a true black. And after feeling it, I was like, this, I've got some really nice black alpaca. This is nicer. So I had to take these little bags with me of fiber because I had not run into it. And I will do some searches and Googling. What she told me is that the miniature llama was a genetic throwback. So I'll be interested to see what I find on that. But I do know, having grown up in the dairy industry, that when that throughout the centuries we have genetically modified animals for a purpose, and that even centuries after doing this, it can throw out a DNA variant that is similar to its original rather than what it's been genetically adjusted to. And it sounds like what she was explaining to me is that the llama was bred to be the defense animal, and so it was bred to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And so all of a sudden, it was this breeder ended up having some small version, miniature, come out that were more like maybe what they would have been originally hundreds of years ago. So I was very interested to see that. I had to have the fiber to share it with you guys, because I had seen something like that in the dairy industry when I was younger, where my grandfather explained that the black and white Holsteins that we raised, that yes, they originally had not been black and white, that was genetically bred to be that way, because of the area that they came from liked the black and white coloration. And so that when all of a sudden you had red and white Holstein, that was actually a genetic throwback to the original colors. So that is the information that I was taught when I was younger. That is what I know from basic biology, but I wanted to share that interesting story. Wanted to share that I had such a wonderful time. The elderly lady that I was speaking to reminded me so much of my my grandma and my great grandma and all of the women I grew up with that helped nurture me and helped give me the stability that I needed in my youth to become the person I am today. So I had a wonderful time at the Fiber Festival. I really recommend, if you have an opportunity, whether it's a big one or a small one, whether it's the county fair or just some of the fairs and competitions, try to get out this summer, this season. Try to get out either as we're still in the spring, or in the summer, or in the fall. Look up your local area and try to get out. And sometimes the small ones can be quite a pleasant day out without all the stress and hustle and bustle. The big ones can just be quite the event. But try to get out and push those boundaries. If you haven't had a chance in a while, if you've never been to one, try to go out and see what you can find at your local fiber festivals. Support the young kids that are raising new, and the new generation of breeders and the new generation of fiber growers. They go to the county fairs. They go to the festivals. They will show you their animals. Sometimes you'll be able to watch the sheep herding, and the funniest one's watching llamas. No, not watching alpaca go under under poles, not jumping, but just the fun things that they do. When it comes to the fiber, so much of the fiber producers out there that we go to these fairs and purchase their stuff, these people, they do it because they love the animals. They love working with animals. These are their pets. I even got to pet a little Angora rabbit, a beautiful fuzzy-eared Angora rabbit that reminded me so much of one of the first rabbits my daughter had. And it was a joy. It didn't matter that it was raining, pelting rain coming down. We were covered. We had a roof over the top of our heads, and it was enjoyable. So it is dangerous because you can end up coming home with things you never anticipated getting. You may have more sock yarn than you know what to do with. But it's such a way to get out, to take in the air, to enjoy the day. But word of warning, If you buy a fleece and it is raining outside and the fleece is unscoured and you take it through the rain back to your car before the bags are tied up and the fleece gets a little wet and you find yourself driving home and you're going, wow, I'm pretty sure I didn't hug a sheep. Why do I smell like wet sheep? Don't forget that fleece in the back of your car is going to smell like wet sheep if it got wet. It's going to smell like sheep, period, if it's in your car. So there's your word of warning. I drove the majority of the way home trying to figure out why I smelled like wet sheep. Because I had forgotten that, yes, I had a wet fleece or damp fleece in the back of my car. So until my next video, I wish you lots of joy and laughter. I hope that you have a chance to get out and mingle a little if it is safe to do so, if it's comfortable to do so. It's a different world than it was 2 years ago. But it is a world that we can still find joy and share the joy with others if we just take some precautions, plan a little bit ahead of time, and give ourselves permission. Until the next video, happy unwinding with fiber and fabric.